days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. And the 49ers have some young players stepping up at training camp. And this is exactly what you need when you're either asking young players to step in and make big-time plays for your football team during the season, or when you suffer injuries at a position. And guess what? The 49ers are in the same situation with both situations, both scenarios. So you've got guys who need to step up, number one, because you're going to need key contributors, right? Kyle Shanahan said we could have as many as 8 rookie starters for this football team. And that's probably, a little bit too much. It's probably closer to 4 or 5. But, what he's saying is not inaccurate. There are positions that people are competing for. But there's also injuries at wide receiver. And the 49ers are having to overcome those injuries. And we talked about in yesterday's episode the fact that they've brought in Equanimeous St. Brown. They've brought in Quintez Cephas. And both guys are veterans who are going to be expected to compete to make this roster. We've also seen guys at training camp that are veterans that are stepping up. And it's not really a shock from me. I've been saying over the last 2 weeks that I expected Russell Gage to make some moves and potentially have a shot to be a part of this football team when the 49ers get into September. And guess what? He's showing that ability, and the reason is he's good at what he does. He's able to find voids in a zone coverage and catch the football. He's an experienced veteran who knows the nuances of playing the position, but also spent some time in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. And whenever you play with a great player like that, they're going to help elevate your game. So very experienced Russell Gage, who was a part of the 49ers practice squad last year for most of the season and was able to pick up a lot of this offense, which he knew most of it as well already. So you've got a situation where you've got key veterans, you've got young players stepping up, but it's very important that young players do make the strides that they need to make. And in some cases, it's kind of shaking things up a little bit. We're seeing some young players get more opportunities early on in camp, or maybe they don't. I mean, with wide receivers, you definitely see guys kind of moved through and getting different reps with all the different groupings, right? With team 1, team 2, team 3, as you're looking to kind of keep guys fresh. But it's unique to see an undrafted free agent like Isaiah Naiah getting team 2 snaps day 2. And so that is something that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm keeping an eye on how much these young players are getting kind of input into the offense or defense and how much they're going to be used. So in this episode, we're going to talk about training camp, of course, but we're going to talk about a lot of the young guys that are stepping up and already showing that they have some ability. Does that mean that through a couple practices, they've proven that they are ready to take on the NFL and become a big-time star? No, that's not what we're saying. What we are saying is, hey, we're getting something out of these guys. Can they build on that? Because it's all about building consistent days. And we see times where these guys are making plays. So we're going to talk about the guys who are kind of showing up and showing out early on in training camp. And we're going to talk about what happened at training camp so far as we really get into this. This is going to be a fun episode. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening on an audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. And if you are going to bet with BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball in full swing and football season around the corner, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. Bet online, the game starts here. And so the 49ers had a young player that I'm sure everyone has already been talking about, and that's Isaiah Naiah. wide receiver. And he's been an interesting topic of conversation since really the 49ers signed him as an undrafted free agent. Because when you look at his size, weight, and speed, this is one of those guys that's the first off the bus kind of guy. He gets your attention. When you're 6'4", 220 pounds, you run a 4.4 in the NFL, you have a lot of potential to become a big-time star. But he's also kind of fallen through the cracks. He had a really good start to his collegiate career at a small school in Wyoming, and then eventually he transfers to Texas, and he's going to be their next big star wide receiver. Suffers a knee injury, and that kind of changes his direction of what he's going to be for his college career. He ends up at Nebraska, has a pretty good season in Nebraska, but not a tremendous season. Not anything that gets people's attention enough to believe he can be drafted into the NFL, but he ends up with the 49ers. And there were flashes when he got to rookie minicamp. You see this guy that can move and run and do the things that he's going to do. And in fact, it wasn't just that long ago. Me and John Chapman talked about, can Isaiah Naiah make the 53-man roster? And I believe because of some of the openings that are available at wide receiver, there's definitely a chance. And here's the one thing that I said that I thought now rings even more true, is if he goes out there and he makes some of these highlight plays, the 49ers are going to be forced to have to keep him on their 53-man roster or risk losing him as a guy they waive that gets claimed by another football team, because there are wide receiver needy teams in this league, and getting a guy that shows that potential at 6'4", 220, and maybe you stash him as wide receiver 6 on your roster, right? It's no different than Cody Schrader last year, the running back. 49ers wanted to keep him, tried to sneak him to the practice squad. Rams claimed him, stashed him on their roster pretty much the whole season. The same sort of thing can happen with Isaiah Naiah. So these highlight plays, they're wonderful. And he made a huge highlight play at training camp yesterday. He went up between 3 defenders and made a tremendous catch for a long 40-plus yard reception. And it wasn't like he was going against the third stringers. Jason Pennick was out there right next to him. Darrell Luter Jr. and Dallas Flowers. Like, there was some guys who have started games in the league. Flowers has started as a corner for Gus Bradley in Indianapolis. Jason Pennick has been a safety that has started games for the New York Giants. These guys are accomplished. I mean, Pennick is probably going to be the day one starting safety for the 49ers. So he went out there and he made a big-time play. And not only did he go up and make a highlight play, but he was open. And Mac Jones threw one heck of a football. So bravo to Mac Jones, who's starting to get comfortable within the install portion of the 49ers offense. And he takes a shot, gives his guy a chance, and Isaiah Naiah goes and makes the play. And those are the types of plays the 49ers need from their wide receiver position. They need guys that can change a game with a big-time catch. And when you have that size and speed, it always gives you the opportunity. But the one thing that people have been saying throughout OTAs and then minicamp was that Naiah was dropping the football. So with his opportunities, he has to make sure he catches the football. Well, guess what? He had 2 catches, and one of them for a big-time play. And that's the type of thing that's going to get Leonard Hankerson, Kyle Shanahan's attention, because these are those game-changing plays. Even if he only has, as a rookie, a couple of catches a game, here and there, a shot down the field, the league is going to take notice, and they're going to have to plan accordingly. So he becomes a threat. And the 49ers have been looking for a vertical threat for a long time now, right? They had Goodwin. They tried him. They tried Danny Gray. That didn't work out. Now they got Jacob Cowing. He's dealing with the hamstring issue. They got Jordan Watkins, and Watkins still is developing. He's making a couple catches here and there, pretty much upon expectation for him early on in training camp. But Isaiah Naiah gets a highlight play. Now, can he build on this is the question mark, right? It's not enough just to make a highlight play at practice and then I just never see him again. He has to go make more catches, and he has to make more routine catches. It can't just be the explosive play down the field, one practice, 4 practices later, another explosive play. But when he's running his normal, consistent routes, he's not catching the football or he's not getting targeted. That's not going to be a good situation for him. So it's a step forward for Isaiah Naiah, and I think this is exactly what the 49ers need when you look at their wide receiver position with their being so many question marks. What are you going to do to make sure that Isaiah Naiah can make some impact on your football team? And I think that you've got to continue to develop him and work him in. But you look at the wide receiver room, and there's opportunity there, right? There is opportunity for Isaiah Naiah to get even more plays, to get some throws from Brock Purdy. And if he continues on this path of making plays in practice, he'll get that opportunity. But Jawan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, they're getting all the catches from Brock Purdy right now. George Kittle as well continues to just be a big-time threat for the 49ers early on in training camp, which is to be expected. But how about that? Isaiah Naiah making a play. And that wide receiver room has opportunity for young guys to step up. And we've been talking about how intriguing Naiah is. And now you've got a situation where he's making a play. But it's not just rookies, and I'm going to talk about plenty of more rookies. But what about D. Winters, who made the interception, but it's now consistent? They were saying he's looking good when it comes to the run game as well. You know, getting out there and making plays in the run game. And this is the part of his game that was questioned. Robert Saleh had a lot of things to say about him in the presser. He talked about the fact that D. Winters is pretty much had stunted growth. I thought that was very interesting that Saleh would say Winters had stunted growth. And he said partly because of injury, but he said the young player needed to be on the field to be able to continue to grow. And so he said, hey, if he puts it all together, if he continues to grow the way that we've seen, he's going to be a player for us. So there's an opportunity for D. Winters to step up and become that guy. You know, he was behind Dre Greenlaw, which is expected. Dre was special. And then he dealt with an injury, and then he was behind Devondre Campbell, and that stunted his growth. So they moved him to Sam Linebacker, and he was pretty good at Sam Linebacker, but injuries off and on kept him in and out of the lineup. Well, now this is his shot, and he's talked about how he's learned to take care of his body. He's learned to watch film. He's learned to put himself in a prime position to be successful, and now he's got to step up. And everyone is raving about how good he looks. But I do want to push the pause button a little bit on that, because last year it was the same thing. D. Winters was flashing. D had changed his body the most. D was the guy that they were very much hyping up. And I know they were counting on him last year, and injuries really, made him struggle to get on the field consistently. But this is it, right? This is the time for D. Winters. This is his opportunity to get out there and make an impact. And so far, he's doing that. And this is a good sign for the 49ers, because there has been big question marks about linebacker. It's not lack of depth. They have a lot of guys that are capable of coming in and playing good football, but they need somebody out there next to Fred Warner that can play great football. And D. Winters and guys like Nick Martin have the ability to be great football players and play great linebacker. They have the speed, the athleticism, and the instincts be consistent in the run game and the pass game. And we've seen it already from Winters when it comes to pass coverage, but the run game instincts, the shedding of blocks, the avoidance of blockers, getting there and making tackles is going to be one of the key elements that we have to see from him. So very much interested in how D. Winters continues to stack days. You're going to hear me talk about that all during training camp. Stacking days, being consistent, showing that you have the ability to step up every single day and get a little bit better. And that's the thing. This is not a finished product. We know Isaiah Naiah for sure, but not a finished product. But neither is D. Winters. And, Robert Saleh said that in his presser was that even 10-year vets need to get better. They're expecting every single player to get better. You are striving for perfection. You're striving to get better, but also more consistent. And I think that is where young guys have to make sure that they do their best. One of the things that was the most impressive about Dominic Pooney last year was how consistent he was. Day in and day out, he was good. And there were days that he was better than others, but he was always good. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. Constant good reps. And there's plenty of young guys that are having to step up and do that. And D. Winters and Isaiah Naiah so far are doing that. But how about a guy like Jordan James? Jordan James is also a guy that's been doing well, looking good at practice. And that's why the 49ers felt confident being able to release Israel Abanikanda, because they could go to Jordan James and Corey Kiner and Patrick Taylor, who are all making plays in the run game out of the backfield. And that's what you're looking for, right? Now, I can't talk about Jordan James without telling you that Isaac Guerendo looks even better than last year. And Guerendo had some moments where he looked spectacular, but he looks faster than I've ever seen him look. He looks more dynamic than I've ever seen him look. And this is just early on, so you can only look at those types of traits, right? Getting the foot in the ground, exploding forward, watching footwork, those types of things. So we'll see what the vision looks like a lot more when they get into pads. And I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing them in pads. I will be there for their first day of practice in pads on Monday. And I'm curious to see what Isaac Guerendo looks like when he's reading the holes, because that is one of the elements to the game that he needed to get a little bit better at. But you've got a young player in Isaac Guerendo that appears to be ready. Now, we're like with all things, right? Let's give it time. Let's give him time to develop. Let's see what he can do. But the fact that he's going through training camp is a huge step forward. Last year, the injury to the hamstring, he was unable to go out there and be able to produce. And so now you've got an opportunity to see what Isaac Guerendo can do consistently. And same with Jordan James. There's going to be more opportunities for him to get carries because they're going to monitor Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, also has been looking extremely good at practice. But Jordan James is going to be a guy that they're going to count on. He can catch the ball in the backfield. Now, that was a little inconsistent at Oregon, but when you watch the film, you see that if he's consistent at catching the football, he's going to be pretty good because he's smooth with his routes, gets upfield pretty nice, pretty fluid. And so I think that there's a lot of game there when in the passing game as well. So you've got a few guys up top that you're very excited about, and that's exactly what you're expecting from these young guys. But it's not just Jordan James. Upton Stout as well finally got some first-team reps. And this is one of the things that I want everyone to kind of understand. I've been getting a lot of comments in the comment section. It's fantastic. Is when we're talking about veterans starting and veterans going out there and getting the early reps, it doesn't mean there's not an open competition. There is. But when you start and you go in there, veterans have earned the opportunity because they've already proven what they can do to get those early starts. It is the rookie's job to displace them. It's not that they're not going to get reps, that they're not going to get opportunities. They are. They're going to get the same opportunities that those veterans are going to get. It's just they have to do enough with those opportunities to say, you know what, that guy is playing better than this guy. We need to move him up. So in Upton Stout's case, Trey Brown was taking first-team reps at nickel corner. Not a surprise, because Trey Brown has played in this defense or this style of defense for Pete Carroll. Him moving inside, understanding route concepts, understanding his drops, where he's supposed to be, feel in zone, it's all going to be further along. But also, those veterans who are playing in front of those rookies are key in the development of those rookies. When Mikael Williams is watching Nick Bosa, or when Alfred Collins is watching Jordan Elliott, or when Nick Martin is watching D. Winters, or Upton Stout is watching a guy like Trey Brown, they are learning how to play the position correctly. Now they take their athletic ability, their instincts, and they go do what the veteran was doing, and now they do it to a higher level if possible because they have more skills. And so what it does is it teaches these guys how to be pros, how to play NFL caliber football, how to play 49ers football. And that's really what they're learning is culture. They're learning how to do things the correct way for that position coach in this scheme. Then when it's their time, they're going to go show what they can do, and maybe they'll jump that veteran and take that spot. But early on, that's why it's important to have key veterans at key positions so these rookies can learn. It accelerates the learning curve. And what was nice was seeing Upton Stout get an opportunity to step in. They went ahead, they put Trey Brown outside, which means right now he's the third corner for the San Francisco 49ers on their depth chart. Not a surprise. And Upton Stout stepped in at nickel, and he played well. And this is the maturation process that you're hoping for. Opportunity, do well. Opportunity, do well. And that's what we're hoping from Upton Stout. And watching some of his practice, some of the things that he was doing out there, he's looking smooth, he's looking good. It's all going to come down to not so much physical traits, but how's he going to do with his mental reps? Is he going to pick up formations and route concepts And is he going to be able to determine if a guy's going inside or outside? What's his feel on that? Change of direction. There's a lot of things that are going to be mental for him to determine if he's going to be able to contribute to this 49ers football team early on in the season. So this is good news for the 49ers, though, that Upton Stout is already getting some of those reps, and we'll see if it builds and he gets a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more with the first team. That means the 49ers are ramping him up for an opportunity. The key for Upton Stout for when he's going to have a chance to really accelerate and jump up the depth chart, same goes for Alfred Collins and CJ West and Nick Martin and Marquise Siegel and all these young guys. Their opportunity is going to come with joint practices. Joint practices are going to be huge, whether it's against the Denver Broncos or against the Las Vegas Raiders. And the reason is because you have an opportunity to kind of completely script what you want to see. And then you go out and you do it against players and teams that you're not used to seeing their scheme. So you had to learn a little bit of their scheme beforehand and then go out there and react. And it'll be the most controlled, but the most real-like situation that you're going to get. It's even more real-life football than preseason, because with preseason, you can't map out every situation. You don't know for sure you're going to face a 3rd and 11 in a preseason game, or you don't know for sure you're going to face a 4th and 1 at the goal line. But in a joint practice, you can manufacture those situations. And so those are good for those young players to be able to elevate. So we'll see how they do, but it's good that Upton Stout is stepping up and making plays. Now, the 49ers had a really good practice, and Quintez Cephas made some plays. Quintez Cephas went out there and was already making catches from Brock Purdy, which is good news. I mean, you need that guy to go ahead and step in and make some plays. Ricky Pearsall continued to ramp up his work. It looks like he's going to be available by Sunday. We'll see, to make his camp debut. And how about this? Running back Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, and Trent Williams all got practice during 11-on-11 situations. So they didn't get 11-on-11 on Wednesday, but on Thursday, 11-on-11 work. Continuing that development, right? Though it's going to be sporadic. These are blocks, 3 practice blocks. So when you're in these blocks, you're going to see them from time to time, and they're going to have a day off, and then you're going to see it ramp. And right now, if they do the things that they're supposed to, the first padded practice, those guys could be available to be out there. Now, Nick Zakelj continues to get the reps. It's another young guy. I know he's going into year 4, continues to get the reps at left guard. And so we're going to keep an eye on that and see what happens. Ben Barch is getting a lot of work in on the side field, and he's preparing to come back from the injured quad. When he comes back, is it going to be the start of block 2? If it is, that's huge. I think that would make this a real competition. The longer this thing drags on, the better opportunity Nick Zakelj has to stick as the starting left guard, the way that Dominic Pooney did last year. So there's an opportunity here for a young guy, Nick Zakelj, to secure a starting job. And people have been wanting Nick Zakelj, me included, to become a starter since he was drafted from Fordham. And he's never lived up to those expectations. Now he's got a real shot at it. He's been more consistent over the last 12 months than I've ever seen him. So we'll see if he can continue to do that. Mykel Williams continues to step up, another young guy doing his job, playing, getting those reps opposite of Nick Bosa. And I think right now it's easy to say that Mykel Williams looks to be a starter day one. And I think a lot of people saw that, and that's a rookie that they feel is ready to step up day one, potentially, and start. Now, what will happen when Gross Matos comes back? Will it still be Mykel Williams? I think it might be still Mykel Williams with Gross Matos and Sam Okuwanu getting the second team reps, because Okuwanu has been getting the reps with when Bosa's not out there. So Okuwanu's higher on the depth chart right now than a guy like Robert Beal Jr. Beal Jr. is going to have to step up and make some plays. Now, Brock Purdy continued to look very sharp at practice, and this is what we're going to see from him. There's going to be days he throws interceptions. There's going to be days he's not, but he's making some big-time throws out there, and George Kittle has been having some plays down the field and able to get down there, and Kittle beating Trey Brown on a play is huge, right? You're beating a corner, but he continues to do that. Patrick Taylor and Isaac Guerendo continue to make plays out of the backfield as Brock Purdy was navigating the offense pretty well. Mac Jones had himself a pretty good practice. He was able to make some big-time throws and get the ball down the field. He's the one that threw the big-time play to Isaiah Naiah, which was huge. And so we're seeing good catches from Russell Gage, Isaiah Hodgins, Malik Knowles. They were making some plays in practice. And even in tight coverage, these guys are being able to make those plays. Jawan Jennings continues to be the player that they were hoping for. Now, another young guy stepping up. We talked about D. Winters at linebacker, but Stone Blanton made an interception as well. Now, it's not just a highlight play that's going to get people's attention, but he's got to be consistent. But that's part of it, right? Making plays when you have the opportunity. He was working with the threes. He intercepted Tanner Mordecai. But at least it's a positive play for a young player. And I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on Stone Blanton to see if he can make this team. Now, Nick Martin also had a really good play where he forced a fumble on rookie running back Corey Kiner. And so you've got a guy flying around making a play. And so we've got young linebackers, D. Winters, Nick Martin, Stone Blanton, that are out there making plays. Now, can we hear this consistently? Can I come on here again and talk about it, that those guys are consistently making plays? That's going to be one of the key elements about these young players stepping up is, are we going to talk about them every single day? If we're going to talk about them every single day, well, then there's the opportunity, right, for them to continue to make plays. So we've got young guys stepping up at training camp, young guys making plays for the San Francisco 49ers team, and we have the veterans doing what the veterans do. Will more young players make the key step? Will these guys we talked about, Naiah, Winters, Jordan James, Stone Blanton, and Nick Martin continue to elevate their game and be consistent? And Nick Zakelj hold on the left guard spot? Lots of good questions for the 49ers, and all the while, we're looking back and saying, hey, are the 49ers still going to add a wide receiver? We've got guys who want to come to San Francisco now, and why wouldn't you? It's an opportunity-driven league, and there's opportunity for wide receivers in San Francisco. We'll keep monitoring whether the 49ers want to do that or not. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.